Eagles fans, this is Mike Kaye from NJ Advanced Media, and welcome to the No Huddle Show podcast, where we discuss anything and everything Philadelphia Eagles. You can read our content on NJ.com/Eagles, bookmark that, and you can subscribe to our exclusive Eagles Insider text service where we'll break news, give you insider observations, and provide in-depth analysis. Through Eagles Extra, you can send questions and comments directly to us, and we'll respond to your phone. With me today, as always, is my fellow Eagles beat reporter, Chris Franklin. Today, we're going to discuss the Eagles' injury woes. It seems like there have been a lot of notable injuries this week following the loss to the Giants. We'll talk about Jalen Hurts, as we always do, and then we'll talk about the outlook for the Jets game, where the Eagles are undefeated all time, as everybody collectively knocks on wood right now, against the Jets. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Chris, before we get into it, what is going on, my man?
Nothing much, man. You know, it's funny you mentioned all these injuries. I feel like I really should be studying up on like some like biology classes, because it just seems like guys are going down left and right. I mean, being on the news side, I got the criminal aspect down just in case somebody ever got in trouble, what to look for. I'm not prepared for all these injuries, man. This injury list is long, man. How are you doing?
I'm well, just kind of trugging along, and we got some good stuff coming out this weekend, and then we've got the bye week. Looking forward to that. Gonna go hit the beach down south, even in December. We just ordered a new couch. And got a new computer chair because my back is killing me. My wife for Hanukkah got me a massage gun, which...
Oh, happy Hanukkah, by the way.
Oh, thanks, my friend. Sometimes you welcome me to the cookout. I welcome you to the menorah lightings or whatever, I guess. But
hey, just give me some Krugel and latkes. I'm good.
Yeah, you're big on Krugel, my friend.
That's good.
That's why they call you Krugel Chris in the streets.
Jeez, no. I'm not turning my card. No. For all those who are monitoring my street cred card, I like that stricken from the record, please. I'm just kidding.
Well, you had us humming "Return to the Mac" like basically all week in the media room. So, shouts to Mac McCain. All right, let's get into this, Chris, because we as much as we love to laugh, we also love to break down football, and so
yep.
Let's talk about these injuries. So I'm going to hit you with an injured player, and then you and I are going to go back and forth on kind of what we think the outlook is. So first off, we obviously need to talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts injured his ankle late in the game against the Giants, still played throughout. Monday, it sounded like there could be a question that he could play. Wednesday, they went from like the gamesmanship to like, hey, he's basically playing. And he's been at both practices this week. What do you think the outlook is for Jalen Hurts? Obviously, we're recording this before the final injury report on Friday, but what's your outlook on him, especially if he can't be as mobile as he normally is against the Jets?
Well, I agree with you thinking that he's going to play. I mean, looking at practice today, they were very guarded and showing how much he could run around with. But in those little moments where we did see him like drop back and everything, he looked okay. So I don't think there's any doubt that's going to happen. And then even Robert Saleh yesterday, when he had his availability with us, Robert Saleh pretty much, he says he's not buying the whole injury thing and it's going to really impact him. So they're preparing just as everything. But I think there's going to be some lingering effect personally, because especially with the ankle, I think the thing you're going to have to really watch, especially when it comes to his throws, because when you're pressing down, like they'll do everything they can to numb it up, tape it up, and go from there. But when it's your back plant foot, you try, that's where you get your power. When it's your front one, your ankle, that's where you follow through, and that's how you get your accuracy too. So the main thing I want to see is, does he try to overcompensate with his throwing ability and does that throw off his passes even more? And then the other thing is, especially his running ability when it comes to running the zone reads and running those RPOs. I mean, that's a big part of this offense, and they've gotten a lot of success off of that, and it's opened up a lot of holes for the rest of the run game. And to continually see that impact him, that could be huge in a way. You might have to rely on the running game, but it's going to be not just that. Teams are starting to take more shots at him when they're doing the zone reads, because technically he is a runner when he's doing that. When he's doing those actions, the teams can hit him, so they're doing that too. So I want to see not only just when it comes to throwing, when it comes to running those zone reads and RPOs, but also when it comes to the piles, and he steps in and gets sacked, and you hope a lineman or on defense or offensive lineman doesn't step on it or something like that and affects him. So it might mess with that. I mean, what do you expect of him? What's going to happen with Hurts in this next game with this injury?
Well, excuse me. You brought up the running game, and they are gonna have to focus on the running game. But I bring up the next injury, and I think this is the biggest impact: is Jason Kelsey, whose arrest/knee did not practice the first 2 practices of the week. He seems like he's going to play. He returned to the game last week. He's the smartest guy on the field. He's the guy calling all the protections. He's maybe the best run blocker on the team. So if you are going to go with that run-first approach, Jason Kelsey is a guy you absolutely have to have. He's Pro Football Focus's second-graded run blocker among centers. So, look, I think he's a guy that stirs the drink on the offensive line. Obviously, Nick Sirianni says that he and Lane Johnson, everything starts with them. They're going to need him. And look, I know this Jets team isn't good, but if you want to control the clock and you want to run over these dudes, you're going to need Jason Kelsey. Nate Herbig had his ups and downs at center last week when he filled in. I think they would prefer to have him at right guard. So that's kind of where I'm at. What's your thinking on Kelsey?
I think he's going to play as well too. I mean, they really, I think they have no other choice. And and Kelsey, if the choice is given up to him, he's going to go out there and play, because to be able to play through that knee injury and to see him continue to try to sprint up and down that sideline last Sunday, trying to get in there, and I think they're going to need him just for a simple fact of just diagnosing what the line calls themselves. He's a veteran guy who knows what's the other teams are doing defensively when it comes to trying to stunts and how to block that stuff up. And I mean, listen, a knee is tough to go, especially when he's trying to get back into his pass protections, his stance and that's a rough thing to go. But I think he's going to try to gut it out, and he'll be effective. And you mentioned Herbig, you're right, because this team doesn't have that many options available. I mean, we saw times Brett Toth. Sorry, I can't talk. Toth was taking some snaps today. Was snapping the ball at times today, and you have Herbig, and you don't have Jack Anderson now because of injury reserve. So they're very limited in what they can do at center, and it's almost like hey, can you get I wonder if they're asking, even if it's really sore, Kelsey would just go out no matter what, but if he's like on the fence, you go like, hey, can you go out one more week and get to the bye week, because they pretty much don't have a lot of solid options after that. But I think he'll play, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does in that pass game.
Miles Sanders is another guy. We think he's going to play. I think we can agree on that. He was full today despite his ankle injury. That's big news, obviously, for the Eagles, especially when you want to work that running game. He and Kenny Gainwell are the 2 healthy running backs on the roster. Boston Scott's been out with an illness the past 2 days. I don't know what to think or make of that. We're not his doctors. We know it's a non-COVID illness. Maybe it means that we see Jason Huntley this weekend, who's on the practice squad. But I think when you look at where this team has to be in this game, we're going to have to see a lot of Miles Sanders. How do you feel like he's going to perform against the Jets?
Well, that's the key as well. The thing I hope that he's learned when he's been sidelined for the last 3 weeks because of that ankle injury is messing with him, is that he saw the success that Jordan Howard and Boston Scott had by just getting 1 foot in the ground and then cutting up field, taking advantage of the seams that were there that were being open in the zone blocking scheme. And allows this, because we all know Sanders has speed going to the outside. We've all seen it. He's busted off a lot of runs, successful runs. But the true thing the success that you see a lot of teams that are able to run that outside zone, that especially behind the left side, is that you have to know where you're going. You can't dance around. You have to take one cut and you go. And that's where I want to see him improve on that. And if he's got that, and it's going to be interesting to see how strong that ankle is and how well it holds up, because they really need him this week, because you mentioned Huntley. I think Huntley did well in training camp before he had that rib injury, but he's going to be seeing if he's elevated from the practice squad up, he's going to be seeing his first steps. Kenny Gainwell has been mainly practicing, especially in the individual drills with the wide receivers, and I think this team sees him now just strictly as a no huddle type player and a third down player, a receiving option. So we haven't really truly seen him run the ball in a while. Actually, it's interesting to see that's what they truly think of. So this is going to have to be a Miles Sanders game, and you just insert Gainwell or Huntley if Scott or Howard's not able to go, insert them and supplement them to save them, give them a breather or two. But this is Miles Sanders' backfield against the Jets to lose.
So Jordan Howard's probably going to be out. He's been sidelined again with the knee injury. Look, I think, like you said, I think you stated it correctly. This is going to have to be a Miles Sanders game, and Miles Sanders has been waiting for that breakout game. Obviously, you want to monitor him with the ankle, and we'll see Kenny Gainwell kind of mixed in there. But having Boston Scott would obviously be advantageous, even after the fumble last week. He tends to do well at MetLife Stadium. I will kill that narrative for right now, but as I jinxed him last week.
I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
Like, how do you think this offense is going to change if Sanders is limited and that ankle's not right? What would you do to supplement that to move the ball down the field? Because if say if Scott's out and Howard's out, how does this offense move down the field?
I think you're going to have to run a lot of tight end screens. I think you're going to have to manufacture rollouts. So you're going to have to manufacture blocking, right? Like, this is going to be a long game for Dallas Goedert and Jack Stoll as far as being extra blockers. And then I think you're going to have to be creative with how you get short yardage plays. I mean, we might see a lot of what we saw against the Falcons, frankly, where Jalen Hurts was more of a pocket passer. And hopefully that works out. But look, I think this Jets team is woefully untalented. And I think the Eagles are still more talented even with their injuries. But they've got to figure out a way. And if Jalen Hurts isn't effective early on, they have to feel okay with pulling the plug and putting Gardner Minshew in there, because there are worse things that can happen than Jalen Hurts looking a little embarrassed. He could get injured for the long term, and they have the bye week coming up. So I think Gardner Minshew really has to prepare for this one. I think there are a lot of people calling for Gardner Minshew that don't realize that a lot of Gardner Minshew's stats are predicated on a lot of short throws. He was not very successful in Jacksonville. I'm always weary of a player when a lot of fans are huge on him in a market that they probably have maybe watched one or two games of his. As somebody who's paid very close attention to the Jaguars beat out of just side interest because I used to cover them, there's a lot of ups and downs. Minshew has not played well against zone coverages. There have been defense reads that he has not made well. He's locked in on wide receivers. Like, Jaguars fans had a lot of criticisms of him towards the end, as fun as his initial run was. So, well, I don't think he's terrible. I actually think he's a top tier backup. I just wouldn't write home and get excited over this guy over Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. What's your take on Gardner Minshew coming into this game?
I texted you. It's funny you mentioned him. I texted you a couple of days ago, and just looking over his video and where he has success. He reminds me of a newer version of Ty Detmer. In that year that he came in and replaced Rodney Peete, I think it was 96 or 97 or whatever, is that he seems like he has to be in a rhythm guy who excels very well in the short range passes. Those passes from the line of scrimmage out to about 10 yards. He'll get the ball out quickly. He'll get the ball out in that windows accurately. And he has to do that because he doesn't have the strongest arm to push the ball downfield as much. And we know that we've heard Nick Sirianni say he values accuracy as part of his offense. That's one of the top things that he looks for. But there's only so much that you can actually do with that accuracy within that little range, because what's going to happen is teams going to see that you can't really push the ball down the field. You'll see the safeties come up, and then that's when you have that impacts your run game, and then you really limit it when it comes to your pass game. So he's nice. I'll say he's nice for what he is right now. He's a good backup. He's a good stopgap option for about for a game or two if you really truly need him. But as a long-term quarterback, as a franchise guy, I don't think he's that at all. I think he's basically a good backup to have in case you need to bring him into a game. That's just what I've seen, like basically on the limited tape I've seen, and just looking at the numbers and where he likes to attack. He would have been good for the old school West Coast offense. That would have been what he'd been excelled at. That's where I see he's at right now.
All right, Chris. So tell me how the Eagles win this game, if they do win this game.
Run. Get this game over as quickly as possible by running the ball, running the clock down, and not getting the Jets and getting out early. Because we've seen this offense does a lot better. This team's done a lot better when they get out to quick leads because they're set up for that. Once they get that, they can do the ball control with the offense and run the ball down successfully. And then defensively, that lets the defensive ends pin their ears back, get the rushes in there. They can play the zones and force Wilson to be more accurate and hit his spots right there, which he has issues for the flat area. I don't know what it is, but it seems like he has that mental block of consistently hitting his passes in the flat area. They had to run the ball. I don't think we'll see another 4 turnover game like we did against the Giants. I think I think it's going to be an increased thing. If anything, I think Hurts will be a little bit more conservative than normal. If he doesn't see anything, it's just that last game against the Giants is top of mind. I think we'll see him throw some balls away, and I think that's going to happen. So I think you see that as well too. And don't be surprised to see a lot more wide receiver screens. I truly think that's the way, especially with the running backs. You're limited at the running back position. I think you see him try to get Devonta Smith more involved by throwing it out there. I think you see Quez Watkins get a ball. And I truly think, even though he had a horrible, terrible game Sunday, don't be surprised to see Jalen Reagor getting a couple of runs, possibly on end rounds or wide receiver screens, because they're going to need as many players as possible to try to supplement for that run game. So I think those are the 3 things you see, and I think they'll have success all those 3 things against the Jets. And as you mentioned, they struggle. They're rough, but the Eagles have to get out early and basically just end this game basically by the second quarter and just run it out from there on. How about you? How do you think they win this game?
I think they need help from the defense, and not just in keeping the score low. I think they're going to need a turnover or 2. They're going to need to win the turnover battle here. Darius Slay is going to have to pick somebody off. There's got to be a forced fumble on a sack. The defensive line really needs to get to Zack Wilson here. And I think Jonathan Gannon will do a good job of messing with the rookie quarterback. We saw his mentor, Mike Zimmer, typically does well against rookie quarterbacks. I think this is an opportunity for Gannon to kind of spice things up a little bit, especially towards the bye, put some stuff on film that other teams, well, basically the NFC East has to study for the rest of the way. So I'm going to go... I forgot what my actual pick was. Hold on as I pull this up. Chris, do you remember what you had as your?
I think I had the Eagles winning 27-17 because I think they're going to break off a couple long runs and it'll be nice, a couple few catcher runs for touchdowns. I think Eagles win and they head into the bye with some hope.
Huh. Okay. Where is my? Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. I have this being kind of a tight battle. I'm just kind of I've gone kind of back and forth a little bit. I think this is going to be really close. I have the Eagles winning 20-17. I know that's not something that a lot of fans are going to be super stoked about, but look, get the win and then move on. You know what I mean? They're banged up. If they can get healthier at the bye, I think they have an opportunity to do some damage. I think they can at least split with Washington. I think they will beat the Giants in the rematch. And then, the way the Cowboys' second half of the season's going, who knows? But this has been just kind of a wacky kind of second half of the season, and I'm intrigued by it. Something else you should be intrigued by is Eagles Extra, which you can sign up for on NJ.com/text. We chat with you guys. We have a lot of fun. It's 2 weeks free trial, so sign up. Chris is hosting an exclusive Q&A on Friday. What time is that one, Chris?
It's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I'll be out there. Yep.
Bright and early, friends. So sign on up, and hopefully you've listened to this before that comes on. And then also make sure you download the No Huddle Show podcast wherever podcasts are available. We love chatting about the Eagles, and we love hearing your feedback. Make sure you give us 5-star ratings. For Chris, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you soon.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
So you're going to ask me questions, or I'm just going to talk?
Hey, I'm Mishi Harman, and I'm the host of Israel Story, an award-winning podcast that tells unusual, quirky, and intimate stories from the complicated place I call home.
A lot of people were offended that I played with their emotions.
The floor was really falling from under me.
He looks like a Jesus.
We just launched our 6th season, and I hope you'll join us for what is going to be a roller coaster of a ride.
East. I don't really know where my home is.
Why does it matter? A human is a human is a human.
Search for Israel Story wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast recommends.